Hello, my name is Marcus Hernandez. In this video, I'm going to show you a new version of the demo. In the previous video, I showed you the first version of how PHP connected to the XML and how it was able to read it. In this video, I'm going to show you how I connected PHP with SQL, HTML, and with the server that I'm using, which is the WAMP server. I'm going to show you the index of the PHP. Alright, so this is the main page, the index of the PHP. In the previous video, I showed you that I used XAMPP, which is also a usable application to run PHP, but it gave me problems on running the two forms. But using WAMP, it gave good results, and it was a success to connect the SQL to the PHP files. And I was able to create the index and both forms of the project. All right, so for the WAMP server, I had to install the 2.0 version, and the PHP version is 5.3.0, which it worked pretty well to run the project, to run the index, and to run the other forms. And it was actually very helpful too to connect the SQL to the PHP. It gave good results. For it to work, you have to run it. You have to activate the local host. I'm using Chrome. I told the application to run it through Chrome, and it will take you right to the index of the PHP, which I have right here. All right, so a Microsoft SQL Server, for the PHP to connect to the SQL, what I had to do is that I had to change the properties of the server right here. I had to enable the SQL server and Windows authentication, then had to restart the server. And then again, I go to security, I open the login, and I create a new login. I used my username and password for this to work. And I also gave information since the PHP file, which is a connection.php, it has an ODBC connect. I'll show you that right now. Okay, so ODBC data sources. And here we go to system DSN, and this is the one that I'm using, test2, a 30-bit. Once I add this, it will read from the database here, which is the raw test. And once that works, I go to Visual Studio, and we go to connection.php, and this is where we connect to the database, ODBC connect. This is the name I gave to the ODBC, the username, and the password. It all has to match. So when I create the login and the SQL management server, when I create the login, I have to make sure that is the same user and the same password. And when I create the ODBC, it has to be the same user and the same password. And it has to be the same in the Visual Studio Code. So once this is set up, it will connect to the forms. This is what we do. We include the PHP connection so that it can read from this and it can read from the database. This is the code that I did for to create the forms, because as you can see, what I did here is a true and false. Since it's in the database, it's a bit, it's a checkbox, so I have to make sure that it's a true and false. Or what I do here is that I'm calling the columns from the tables in the database from raw test, and then here we insert it. This is the table name, and this is these are all the columns that are in the table. And here we read those, we get the info from it, and then it sends it to the database. It's pretty much the same process. Here I did the same thing, and this is 1094, and 1095. I did the same thing here. It reads from the table and gets the columns. And for the type, I had to use the ID and name so I can get it straight from the columns, which is recorded here. And it'll send them right to the database. All right, so I'm going to show you a demo. So as you can see, here we have 1094 and 1095. Let's take a look at 1094. And if you want to go back to 1095, you just press return. And we go to 1095. And so let me add the information. So this is all fake, of course. All right, so once we add that, we insert. All right, so that information is now recorded. So if we go back to the database and we do, I believe it is filing base. select. And in here, we can see the data recorded. Yes, okay. The reason why it's null is because I'm not using those tables yet. For that section, I am not using none of the columns right there, which says null, and later on that will change. So if we go back to 1095, all right, so we have the information right here. Now if we press enter, it will all go in it. All right, so if we go back and we do, I believe it's head. Yep, all the information here is recorded right here. Yeah, so we can see all the information that I entered. And yeah, very good, saves everything here. If we see this, then it doesn't actually matter. This just doesn't give any issues. All the information was recorded in the database, so if getting this, it doesn't actually affect anything. Now we're gonna try this. All right, so if we submit, all right, like I said, this doesn't matter. We only get this notices because I didn't check those boxes, but it doesn't actually matter. All the info is still recorded in the database. So if we check here, I believe it's covered. Yeah, all the information is right there. So it says if it's true or false. There I am with my cover DOB. The reason this says null is because I'm not using it in the. I'm not using this in the form. Now I'm gonna show you 1094. We have all of this filled up, so if we press insert, doesn't matter again because I didn't fill those up. So if we check back at the database, I believe it's log. Yep, and all the information is stored in the database right here. Yep. Yeah, it's recorded right there. Oops. And this is another test. So let's just say yeah and LOL. And if we submit those, that will be recorded. I believe that is other, I think, yes. And there you go. It is right there. Yeah, so everything works with the 1095, 1094, and 1095C. It was actually a lot challenging than I thought. This was really good. It was everything worked pretty well. Adding all the information was quite a challenge, especially the aggregate group from the 1094 tables. But yeah, that is the demo. We have the database, and then the tables, and then we can test those by selecting it from the table, and it will show all the results here. And yeah, that's all of my demo. And I would like to say that this project was a lot challenging than I thought. I went through a lot of things. I never thought I would work on this alone. But I would like to thank Professor Vanderlinden and Professor Bailey for helping me out with this, to guide me, um, to understand my situation with this project. And yeah, it was quite alright. It was a lot. It was hard, but overall, you guys taught me a lesson that anything's possible, and I'm capable of finding solutions to solve this. And yeah, thank you.